this evolution of artificial intelligence is basically can be measured starting from steam engine to the early robotics. And if you see, this is basically the global productivity growth rate is very high. And the reason for this artificial intelligence is basically needed when human are not in a position to take decision within the minimum time period. The systems, the CPU, which are very, very fast, it is possible for them to take the input data and obviously take certain decision, and that decision is going to be incorporated in human life. Obviously, it is possible for the usage of AI in every life. Example, very simple example. When there is no person in the room, obviously there are few sensors and that intelligently understand there is no human. Obviously it is going to make the lights off whenever the system is permitting that to happen. So similar to that, depending upon the context, depending upon the environment condition, certain decisions can be taken using certain intelligence. For example, your screen, if you are not going to use it for certain period, obviously it is going to hibernate mode, because the system, no one is listening to this or no one is viewing the screen. That is the reason. Next slide, madam. Madam, next slide. So the benefits is basically influencing sales, boosting operation, engaging the customer, generating insights. That means it is possible for you to have the sales increasing and operation can be efficiently done, and the customer can have more satisfaction, and we can definitely do better insight analysis. Next slide, madam. So when you do things, what are the basic challenges ahead of this? Lack of enabling data ecosystem and low intensity of AI research and inadequate availability of expertise and technology and research, high resource cost and low awareness of adopting AI in business process, unclear privacy, security, ethical regulation, and attractive intellectual property regime to incentivize research and adaptation. So these are the challenges, and the challenges can be easily and reduced, and people are doing lots of research in AI. Next slide, madam. So when you are talking about AI, the first component is machine learning, second component is big data, third component is IoT. So my presentation also, you can see the machine learning fundamental algorithms and what is the meaning of big data and how the data is collected through IoT. So I will take it in the other way. Yeah, IoT, which is basically Internet of Things, it is trying to collect the data, and when the data is going to be huge, very, very voluminous, then obviously the simple classification algorithms need to be modified to handle the big data. Then from the data, the required data alone has to be taken up, pruned, and from there, the trend in the data should be easily analyzed. And from there, the insight of the particular data will provide a pathway for the business people to understand whether the data is going to go a promotional activity for their business, or they have to adopt certain other strategies to develop the business. Next slide, please. So, machine learning. It is a field of computer science, and this gives a ability for the system to learn to improve the performance on a specific task with data without being explicitly programmed. So we have next slide. Next slide, madam. Why do we need machine learning? Because it is going to give decision making improvement, and future action can be based on the data, the facts, the figures, and we can do prediction, and we can do alert on deviation, and we can do uncover hidden trends or relationship. And all these required diverse data from across many silos, lots of unstructured and time data. So all of you know that we have structured data, unstructured data. So whenever we have unstructured data, obviously we have to have a different method of making it structured, synchronized with time. Then only the decision can be easily incorporated. Next slide, madam. So we know machine learning is basically different from traditional programming. And if you see the traditional programming, we have the data, then we have algorithm, and when we see the machine is going to give output, and whenever we have the machine learning, we know what is the input data, what we want, that is basically the output, and for that we have to have an algorithm. So this is basically the second right hand side is the basic fundamental concept of machine learning. Example, I wanted to have a system to recognize characters, whether it is going to be a character, handwritten character or English character, anything. What we need is, I wanted to give the data. That means a figure like A. How that data should be given to an input system, and out of the 26 alphabet, when I get A, then obviously I expect output to be 1. If I give B, output to be 2. So if this is going to be methodology, then there will be an algorithm, a machine learning algorithm, for example, a neural network, which is going to get the input intensity of the character, and it is going to train the system neural network so that A is going to be taken as first alphabet of 26 in English. So obviously, if I go any other character, none of the output should be giving a matching hand. That means it can be easily ignored. So the same thing can be easily done for even a face recognition. The features are to be extracted, and the machine should be learning those features, and automatically it should say this face belongs to Radha Senthil Kumar. So this is basically the basic machine learning methodology, and the traditional programming is going to be totally different because I have algorithm, and obviously the output is going to be decided based on the algorithm. That's all. Next slide, madam. So when we see how better than traditional programming, ma'am, next slide, data in machine learning. Data in machine learning is going to be the training data, validation, and we have testing data. So when we do this machine learning, we have three important categories. One is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. So supervised learning is going to be divided into regression and classification problem. Unsupervised is going to be clustering and dimension reduction. And when we see the output of the supervision, that is supervised learning, have linear regression, linear logistic regression, then SVM, then we have means, and finally we have the problem of linear regression and logistic regression and SVM. These are all coming under supervised learning. What is supervised learning? Supervised learning is basically a method of knowing what exactly I need. For example, when I give a character like A, I know the system should recognize this as A. That means I have a standard data set for training and testing. Whereas when we have a problem of unsupervised, I have lots of data and I don't know whether the peaches are basically belongs to orange or apple or system to do classification to classify these features. That is unsupervised. And when system trying to do the classification on its own, obviously it is possible, unsupervised. So the other method, when supervised and unsupervised are not going to have any role, it is possible for you to have a reinforcement learning. That means whenever facts are assumed, we are giving more weightages. When the facts are violated, we are not going to take that to the next step. So like that, there are systems in machine learning that is adopted in machine learning. By trial and error, it is to have the best solution. So what is the meaning of dimension reduction? When you have lots of data and your decision is not going to give you a faster convergence. So, for example, to find out whether a particular person is healthy or not healthy. For that, let us say I have collected his age and family background and number of sisters and brothers. Yes, let us say where he is working.
Ma'am?
Yes,
Ma'am?
madam.
Can you please switch off your video, ma'am? So
Yes,
better
madam.
bandwidth will be there. If you switch off your
Okay.
video, it will be better bandwidth, ma'am. It's breaking in between. The voice is breaking in between. Yeah. Yeah, please, ma'am.
Okay. So the dimensionality reduction is when I have, am I audible, madam?
Ma'am, you are audible, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. Okay. Whenever I have so many features for taking certain decision, I can give very, very important features more weightage. By that, the dimensionality can be easily reduced. And obviously, when I want to understand whether this particular person is prone for heart attack, obviously, I will give more weightage for the obesity and I will give more weightage for the cholesterol content and I will give more weightage for the hereditary rather than giving any other parameters like where he is living, etc. So obviously, when I wanted to make the machine to learn to do certain prediction, I wanted the important attributes to be given more weightage. That is what is dimensionality reduction. Any question from the audience? Ma'am, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. Yeah.
So the application machine learning algorithm, if you see, there are, as we have seen, supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement. And this is basically, once again, leading into continuous target variable and categorical target variable. And we have target variable not available and categorical target variable. And we have, once again, availability, non-availability. Based upon that, supervised learning can be classified as regression classification. Similarly, unsupervised is going to be coming under clustering and association. Similarly, we have semi-supervised also classification and clustering. And if we see reinforcement, we have one more parameter called control. So obviously, it is possible for us to have the final application of housing price prediction using supervised learning. And we have medical imaging in supervised machine learning. Customer segmentation coming under unsupervised, market basket analysis in machine learning, then text classification semi-supervised, then lane finding on GPS data, that is also coming under semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning is basically optimized marketing, etc. So obviously, we have lots of applications starting from image processing, text identification, then marketing, medical, plus the abnormality detection in the traffic scenarios. These are the. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am.
Very, ma'am, am I audible?
Audible, ma'am.
Okay. Next slide, please.
Yeah, please.
So, what is basically supervised machine learning? It is where you have input variable X and output variable Y and use an algorithm to learn the mapping function from the input to the output. So in our previous slide, we said when I have input and when I have algorithm, then obviously that becomes a traditional programming. Whereas in machine learning, I know input, I know output, I will get the algorithm as output. Incidentally, this algorithm is nothing but a mapping function, and that is going to be giving the supervised method. Next slide, please. So supervised machine learning are basically task driven. And if you see what is basically the task, you can see we have regression and classification. So when I have a data, I wanted to find out what is a basic trend in the data, and I will be in a position to do the regression analysis. I have data which is going to have the spatial diversity, and when the spatial diversity is represented as what, it is possible for me to have a methodology of putting a straight line and tell that the futuristic data will occur somewhere in the upper hand. Similarly, when I have a data, if I wanted to do a classification, it is possible for me to have the classification of data by putting a hyperplane, and this is what is basically going to be given as the regression analysis and classification analysis. So whether we are trying to use this regression for market prediction and the classification as basically this particular data belongs to one set, another set of data is going to be given other set. When you wanted to have that type of classification, you can definitely make use of task-driven supervised machine learning algorithm. Next slide, please. So, what is actually the regression? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Some participant, I think, voice of some participant. Okay, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay, so I have a multi-layer perceptron called MLP, in which I am in a position to have a output. For that, there are several inputs that are given. And for us to have a training mechanism of collecting the data and organizing this data in a format of passing the data on to the output, so that when I have input which is going to be represented by X, I should be in a position to get the output Y, and I have several weightages, and those weightages are going to be aggregated as weight W12, W11, W10 in order to get the final output. This is the fundamental neural network approach, in which these are called links, and W is called the weightages, and number of circles are nothing but input neurons, and whatever is going to be given in the middle, A1, A2, these are all the nodes in hidden layer. Finally, the connectivity of this through weightages is going to be given as output. When the output is going to be somewhere around 1, that means the system is training. If it is somewhere around 0, that means the input doesn't belong to that set. This is the way the system is functioning. Next slide, please. So this is yet another method, that is random forest method. And in random forest method, you are taking few sets of data. For example, you imagine that you are traveling from Delhi to Kanyakumari, and you wanted to find out the optimal path in reaching Kanyakumari. And obviously, certain direction from, let us say, Delhi to Kanyakumari, by chance, if you take the east path or west path instead of taking the south path, obviously you will not lead into converts. So obviously it is possible for you to go more weightages towards south, so that when you wanted to reach this node, you have to take this path. Similarly, for another set of data, it should be possible for you to reach this path. So the reason here is we can have the majority voting from different paths, and finally you can have the final class. So it is basically selecting a random set of data and trying to get the final solution by choosing the appropriate path. So when you have such problem, random forest can be adopted. Next slide, please. So we have mixed method called linear regression. And the linear regression is trying to have all these black dots are data, and you are trying to fix a curve, a straight line, so that the data can be easily correlated with this line. But you have a threshold. In this threshold, if the data is going to be beyond certain deviation, obviously those data cannot be accommodated into this regression line. So at that time, we can say these dots are no way connected with this data, and we can say these are all anomalies and we can isolate. Next, please. So we have supervised machine learning, which is convolutional neural network, which is called CNN. And if you see, I have input matrix, which is basically having X, Y as well as Z, which is going to get multiplied by several filters. And finally, when we see the input 6 cross 6 is getting converted into 4 cross 4, and that 4 cross 4 is getting converted into 2, and from there it is possible to have the final output. So a convolutional neural network, we have seen the weightages and we have seen the output. When we see a huge input with appropriate hello ma'am. Ma'am,
Ma'am, the thing is that the participant is making a noise, ma'am. I'll ask them to mute. Please, participant, all mute your audio. Please, participant. Ma'am, you can proceed, ma'am.
okay. So, basically, if you see, these 4 things are finally getting mapped into a single entity, and obviously, a method of having multiple input getting into a single entity output is mathematically done using convolutional neural network, and this is very popular for image processing, and this is one of the important technique in machine learning. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we have a naive-Bayes classifier, and that classifier, if you see here, it is basically trying to have functionality of having the probability. The Gaussian naive-Bayes classifier has got a probability of making a particular data to be belonging to this set or it is belonging to some other set. So it has got the likelihood function, priori, post priori, and mind and priori function, and these functions are mathematically represented using equation. And this is the Nail-Bayes classifier is a very popular classifier in machine learning. Next, please. The next slide, please. So we have, as we have seen, the regression, we are fixing a particular threshold whether this particular data can be placed within this threshold. If not, it is not going to be taken into consideration. So when I have a threshold of having 0.5 here, 1 and 0, it is possible for me to put it into this logistic regression. Next slide, please. So the linear regression is a straight line. Logistic regression is basically having a range. Within this to this, it is possible for us to have a relationship. And as we have seen in the previous slide, this is 0.5, 0 to 0.1. It is possible for us to have a range of prediction of y within 0 and 1. So both x-axis independent variable and y-axis is a function which is ranging from 0 to 1. Next, please. Next slide, please. So we have next one as k nearest neighbor, and here when we see, before we classify, I have a blue dot which is to be taken into consideration whether this particular data belongs to category A or category B. And we have the nearest neighbor. There are several data. For example, the nearest neighbor has to be taken into consideration with function. If you see here, blue is class 1 and red is class 2. So blue is here, red is here, and we have to train the system to classify the data into several classes And depending upon the distance, data can be classified as belonging to category A or category B. And incidentally, when you see the this particular data, the blue color data is classified as category A based upon the nearest neighbor distance that is being calculated using this algorithm. That is basically trying to have many more classification. Next, please. So we have next is decision tree, and this particular decision tree is having a decision node, and we have a leaf node, and it is possible for us to have a method of classifying based upon the decision, and here the root node is getting classified based on the decision to traverse through left or right, and obviously this particular decision tree will be in a position to tell whether this particular data belongs to this leaf or not. This is one yet another method. Next, please. So next thing is a very, very popular classification that is called support vector machine. And that support vectors are basically, you can see the support vectors are given here in order to classify the data into the blue sector and green sector. And we have negative hyperplane and we have positive hyperplane, and the maximum margin can also be set when you represent the data in two-dimension plane. How to fix up this hyperplane based upon the margin can be easily decided, and that is basically represented in SVM. And this is above all the method, SVM is a very, very successful method. So people used to appreciate the method given by SVM for classification. Next slide, please. So having seen the supervised method, we are going for the unsupervised, the clustering and association based. For example, the clusters are formulated depending upon the distance whenever the data is inputted. Obviously, when you have it in the plane, whether we have to put it in cluster 1 or cluster 2, totally depending upon the gravity of the data to get associated with one of the cluster. Next, please. Next, please. So the type of self-organized Hebbian learning that helps find previously unknown patterns in dataset without pre-existing labels. So earlier case, A should be associated with A. That is possible. Now, in this case, such labels are not given. Still, we wanted to classify the data. So it is also known as self-organization allows the modeling of probability density of given input, and it is one of the main three machine learning. So next slide, please. Next slide. So I have data and I can classify this into one, this into one, and this into one based upon the nature of the data. And we have this k-means clustering. So orange, pink, and green, the way in which the data itself can get associated with the cluster head, and that type of methodology is called clustering. Next, please. Next, please. And association based mapping. Basically, I have several data, and the item 1 is basically bread and milk. Another one is bread, diaper, beer and eggs, milk, diaper, beer and cola. When I have market-based transaction, each one is basically record. We have to record or we have to classify, that is basically how a bread and egg antecedent can go to consequent because these are all something to do with eating. So how such association can be given is called association based grouping. Next, please. So finally, when I have data, I wanted to group, and whenever I have a new data, I have to extract the feature, and I have to choose the appropriate machine learning algorithm, and those machine learning algorithm will group the data into any one of the category, and we can have predictive model, that is regression, and finally we have to have a annotated data. This is basically the fundamental concept of machine learning model. Next slide, please. So opportunities we have already seen in application: voice recognition, image, optical character recognition, advanced customization, intelligent data analysis, sensory data analysis. There are plenty of opportunities, and obviously those who are working in image processing or voice recognition, they will be choosing the appropriate data, and the running data has to be classified and model has to be determined so that it is possible for us to understand the trends of the data to take futuristic directions. Next, please. So without machine learning, very specific instruction should be given, and with machine learning, the data will be in a position to organize itself. Next, please. Next, please. So next topic is big data. My presentation should come to an end in next 10 minutes. So I will be in a position to go to big data because my topic is basically machine learning and all the four methods, namely supervised, unsupervised, reinforced learning plus semi-supervised. The basic methods that are being done, everything is being introduced to the audience. Now, what is basically the data? A data, when it is becoming big data, a big data characteristics is basically volume, velocity, and variety. Example, when I have examination data and I wanted to fix the grade for 50 students or 500 students, who should be given the excellent grade, who should be given failure grade, can be easily analyzed. Whenever I have 5 lakh data, 5 crore data, multiple crore of data, then obviously I wanted to call that as a big data because it is having volume of data. Instead of only mark, I wanted to associate that with certain courses. Mathematics, marks can be high. If the subject is basically language, mark is low. And in apart from the subject, I wanted to associate one more characteristics, the teacher. Your teacher is very strict, the mark is very low. The teacher is very liberal, another factor is mark are high. Then the apart from the teacher, the correction methodology, the problem associated with the question paper, whether the question paper is out of syllabus, whether the question paper is inside the syllabus. There are various attributes and there are various other parameters that has to be considered. That means it is basically volume. Then the data is continuously changing. Example, every instant the data is changing. If that is going to be the case, then obviously the algorithms that are used for the regular simple data may not be very successful in big data. Big data is a term used to refer to data set that are too large or complex for traditional data processing application software to adequately deal with. Okay, next please. So why big data? We have the reasons, basically timely, that is gain insight into the drivers of data source, improve. The second thing is better analytics. So a regression or the random forest, the analytics should go the appropriate trend. Finally, a business person wanted to know whether he has to buy diaper in that particular store, whether he has to stock milk for next 10 days, because if he is going to stock more milk, it is going to get spoiled. If he is not going to stock it, then customer will be unhappy. So he has to balance between customer satisfaction and the amount he has to invest in order to buy the commodities. When you have several trends, obviously the better analytic tools are needed. That is needed in order to have improvement in business performance through real-time analytics. Then vast amount of data, big data technologies manage huge amounts of data. The insights are basically can provide better insight with help of unstructured and semi-structured data, and decision making helps migrate risk and make helps mitigate risk and make smart decision by proper risk analysis. The meaning is, for example, none of us have expected the need for mobile phone and a platform like Zoom for conducting such online classes, and we never expected the need for a quarantine zone and the need for medicine. The government has taken lots of prediction methodologies in order to provide beds, then the first care service, and make the people understand the need for isolation, social distancing. How do you expect these things would have happened? Lots of data collected from several places in the globe, and the trends and the analysis as given proper direction, then only it was possible for the government to remove the ban on bus operation, flight operation, the train operation, etc. So a risk analysis, then the prediction and the data, everything is very, very important. And all of you know the reason for a big data analytics, because when you have to have deal with several attributes where the traditional algorithm may not give appropriate answer, obviously it is better to go for better analytics tool. Next please. Radha madam, the challenges are analyzing large data, rapidly growing diverse data, decision privacy, precisely how to handle the data in a best way. This is basically including capturing of data, data storage, data analytics, then searching the data, sharing the data, transfer of data, visualization of data, querying the data, updating the data, information privacy, and data source. So, challenges we have to definitely take care of the storage, then better analytics, then searching the data with appropriate tools, and whatever data needs to be shared and transferred, that has to be done in a faster way, and the data should be visualized properly. And when we want the appropriate data, the querying mechanism should be optimally designed. And when we have a distributed data system, the data should be updated parallelly in all the place. And when we talk about data, the privacy of the data should be definitely protected. Next, please. Madam, we can see the data is growing rapidly. And nowadays, what is the correct data, how to eliminate data, and how to get data compression is becoming a research topic. Next, please. Next, please. So the data analysis, this is basically the visualization tool. Most of the big data analytic tools is trying to classify the data and trying to give the appropriate trend in a visualized manner, so that a person who wanted to understand whether the COVID is decreasing in Tamil Nadu or the need for more hospitals is getting declined. All these trends can be easily analyzed with data analytics tools. Next, please. So it is basically inspect, clean, transform, and model with discovering useful information, conclusion for supporting decision making. Next slide, please. So when we see the analytics, basically we have genomic, electronic health record, behavior, then public health. All these are contributing towards the analytics. Finally, we need evidence and insight, and the outcome, improved outcome, should have the less cost. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So what we need is, we have data. We are collecting the data from the environment, and that is getting converted into information. That is, a data 58 is converted into information as age, and a data 5 is converted into age. And finally, the data plus information is getting converted into intelligence. A person above 65 should not go out, and a person is coming out of the house can be monitored through his mobile phone with his GPS. Then immediately an intelligent alert should be given through his mobile phone through a message. Go for this app, that is Setu app, and it is not good for you to step down from your house because you have 4 or 5 neighbors affected with corona, that is being collected by Arogya Setu. And with the complex events, intelligently the decision is given to a human telling that this is not the correct time to step down. That is basically the AI, and that has to be done by machine learning algorithm. That's all. Next, please. So the types are descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. And you can see what happened is, why diagnostic, what will happen in future is predictive. How can we make it happen is prescriptive. So it is basically going from hindsight, insight, and foresight. Information is finally converting into foresightedness by appropriate optimization algorithm. And people who are doing research, they are trying to have data analysis type of these category. Next, please. So big data, variety of data, analytics, it's trying to organize this, and decisions are taken in order to get meaningful insight into this. So this is the basic of big data and analytics. When we do the analytics, obviously it is possible for us to have proper decision. Next, please. So there are several platforms available for data analytics. Next, please. That is RapidMiner, Weka, SQL Server, Oracle, SAS, etc. Next, please. These things will be taught by the industry person which is following my session, and we have to have the different methods that are 5 steps. The first one is we have to define, second thing is we have to measure, then we have to analyze, we have to improve, and finally we have to control, and that is coming under the steps of data analytics. Next, please. So the predictive analysis model, we have patient data and we have heartbeat interval risk model engine. So by understanding the heartbeat interval, the patients, the risk can be easily predicted. So it is possible for us to have demographic, socio-economic details, real-time clinical data with natural language processing. That is basically the second bin. And we have the third one, billing and claims. And when it is going to a machine learning algorithm, it is supposed to provide a modeling process, include ensemble, decision tree, random forest, and survival algorithm. And it is possible for you to have a 30 days post discharge the method of analyzing and giving a future 12 months risk factor so that the patient can leave the place, because the system understand what is a socio-economic factor of the patient, whether the patient can be retained in hospital or it can be treated in home itself, because the billing will tell if the person is going to be in hospital, obviously he has to pay more. And it is possible for the doctors to provide a real-time clinical data by having remote healthcare so that the patient risk can be easily covered. Next slide, please. So the benefits are basically cost reduction, faster and new products, and big data analytics is playing a major role because of the consumer expectation. Next, please. So we are coming to the healthcare. We have seen the previous one. The healthcare is totally dependent upon the billing process and the socio-economic status of the student. So obviously, it is possible for you to do prevention of certain diseases, diagnosis, early diagnosis can be done, and treatment can be given in remote, and recovery can be done without any huge hospital charges, and illness can be easily identified, and any other physical, mental impairment in people can be easily diagnosed. Next, please. Madam, basically, nowadays, machine learning in healthcare refers to doctors and hospital assessing vast data set, potentially life-saving information, and the computing power can detect and analyze large and small trends from the data and make prediction through machine learning, and that is designed to identify potential health outcomes. Next, please. So the treatment methods and outcomes are improved, survival rate increased, speed of care gathered, and provides interconnected health condition. For example, COVID also, the temperatures can be told to the people through remote, and the prescriptions are given by doctor and suggestions are given, and you can speak to the doctor. The remote healthcare has become a mandatory requirement in COVID period. Next, please. Madam, next, please. So, seven executive report more investment in embedded artificial intelligence solution and 69% in machine learning. So, this is what is a strategy. So, we can leverage the strategy and we can definitely incorporate embedded artificial intelligence solution. Next, please. Next, please. So, this is the trend. Next, please. So, health data is going to be given by several sectors, and these sectors are going to be collected. The data given by these people are going to be collected by a big data cloud, that is medical claim, then wearables, then outlets, then hospital, electronic health record, then the software, then genome registries, patient registries, etc. And using this, whether a particular patient needs to be hospitalized or he can stay at home and take care of his health is going to be a remote healthcare problem statement. Next, please. So, there is a growth of healthcare data. All of us know this. Next slide. Next slide. So, we have fragmented data, ever-changing data, privacy, security, regulation, patient's expectation. With all these things, how your primary health will be taken care by the healthcare data analytics is a basic challenge. Next, please. So, big data healthcare talks about personalized medicine, prescriptive analysis, clinical risk invention and predictive analysis based on care variety, variability reduction, and automated external and internal reporting of patient data, then standardized medical terms, patient registries, and fragmented point solution. So if you see here, the obvious solutions are understand the customer and patient, improve personalized care, and boost healthcare marketing, analysis of trend, helps predict healthcare outcome, implement preventive care strategies. So big data, especially data analytics, is playing a major role in one of the important aspect. So we should understand what is expected from patient, and the expectation are very much personalized, and we have to maintain online health record, and we have to have marketing because we should have the product for taking care of the patient. Next, please. So diseases identification, drug discovery, and we have the problem of medical imaging, and we have personalized medicine, smart health records, disease prediction. Next, please. So this is yet another slide of combining all the stakeholders of health for taking care of big data analytics. Next, please. So we have model building and model scoring. We have electronic health record. From there, features are extracted. Then we have machine learning algorithm, and those algorithms are giving certain decision, and it is possible to have this model prediction, and it is possible for us to go back the data so that the feedback can be improved. And the model scoring, the machine learning algorithm, the data is given to the model and the prediction methods, it can be taken into time series whether the data is giving the correct answer or not can be easily checked. So that is what is basically the healthcare model building. The healthcare model building has become very, very important because it deals with machine learning as well as the score for the model. The model which are scoring high can be easily adopted by doctors. Next, please. So this is usage, and we have seen what is SVM. We know what is neural network. We have seen the logistic regression. It is like a polynomial, 0.5 below and 0.5 above, and discriminant analysis, random forest, linear regression, naive Bayes, nearest neighbor, decision tree, and we have hidden Markov model and others. All are playing important role in healthcare, and the usage of this, if you see here, neural network and support vector machines are playing a major role. Otherwise, other things are also giving a very, very important result in specific cases. So what we have is basically, ma'am, we can skip this. Next slide. I will finish it in 5 minutes. Next slide. AI in remote healthcare, and previous slide. Here, skip this. Next. We have the patient record, and we are collecting the vital parameters from the data, and it is given to the machine learning algorithm, and machine learning algorithm will be alert can be given to the doctor, and that is what is basically given in the previous slide. Can you go to the previous slide, please? So this is basically electronic health record, and we have machine learning algorithm, and it is possible for us to have the final, the information that is outcome, and the data is collected from wearable in real time, and the patient health is monitored by the doctor. Next, please. Next. So we have lots of barriers. These can be easily overcome by doctors as well as the policy maker. Next, please. So this is basically intelligent, personalized remote health monitoring system we have designed, and the project was submitted to DST, and we have got the body worn sensors, and these sensors are connected to the mobile using wireless technology, and we have machine learning algorithm to understand the data is normal or abnormal. We had regression, and it is possible for us to predict whether the patient needs to be admitted or taken care in remote itself. So everything is done using mobile and cloud environment, and we have implemented this in MIT hospital, that is health center, and we have given the algorithm to DST, and it is available in their portal to check whether a patient is in normal condition or not. Next, please. Next, please. So all these things known to us. Next. So this is the architecture, and this is what is basically the methodology adopted. And if you see, we have the sensors, we have algorithms, and we have decisions, and each and every patient is personalized using machine learning algorithm. Now we have COVID, new normal. Similarly, a patient will be having new normal, and the machine learning algorithm will learn from the patient's earlier record, and it will not give unwanted alert to the doctors. That is what is personalization. Okay, so we have the classification, personalization, which is happening in cloud, and health and alert generation here, and we have the patients here. So finally, the mobile will be giving information to the caretaker when the patient is really ill. Inform the caretaker to take care of the patient. Okay, so that is the final answer